Welcome to Gestalt IT. My name is Tom Hollingsworth, and I am a network analyst at Gestalt IT who focuses on talking to interesting companies about some of the exciting technologies that they have coming up that we should be paying attention to. And I've got a guest here today to talk a little bit about SD-WAN and maybe teach us a little thing or two about some of the cool stuff you should be aware of in 2021.
Hi, Tom. Thanks for having me. My name is Mike Kornbaum. I'm a technical marketing engineer here at Palo Alto Networks, focusing on the CloudGenix SD-WAN solution.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, Mike. SD-WAN is something that's really been picking up a lot of steam as the world has kind of changed the way that it looks at networking over the course of the year. And it was really exciting to hear that Palo Alto Networks had picked up CloudGenix to kind of increase some of the offerings that they had in the networking space, because Palo Alto Networks is not a name you would typically kind of equate to networking. They've always been really focused on security. And one of the things that's come up recently is this Next-Gen SD-WAN solution that you guys have launched. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what makes it Next-Gen SD-WAN.
That's a great question, Tom. And I'll just start by saying there are three pillars to Next-Gen SD-WAN. One, application defined. Two, autonomous. And three, cloud delivered. All right, let's focus on pillar number one for a second. Application defined. And what do I mean by that? We need one, visibility and detection of all of the applications flowing through your network and be able to do control at the application level. Not just looking at, we're all network engineers and looking at something like a legacy SD-WAN solution would do, which is the performance of the network and trying to loosely correlate that to application level performance. Whereas CloudGenix is going to look at how the apps are performing on the network and then make a decision based off of the business policies that you've written for those particular applications. Remember, not all apps are treated equally when they're traversing the network.
Yeah, I think that that's a really important distinction to make, because a lot of traditional networking engineers kind of have that router-based mentality of applications are really just a stream of packets with a destination IP and a port number, and they don't really think about how that all kind of correlates together. So a lot of folks are still stuck in that packet-based past. But it sounds like Next-Gen SD-WAN offers the capability to kind of focus more on the applications and how they interact with each other. What is the difference at your Next-Gen SD-WAN level of how packet-based versus application-based works in practice?
Sure. Yeah. So if we start with, how legacy SD-WAN works, right? Because obviously it's important to build upon those techniques, right? One is understanding how the network is performing from a site A to site B perspective, bookended solution, right? That's a legacy SD-WAN model where I'm going to say from my device A to device B, how is the network path between these two performing? And I'm going to measure things like loss, latency, and jitter, which are important, of course, right? But the story doesn't stop there, because what about application transaction time? So RTT, application RTT. What about initialization failure rates and transaction error rates, right? If you don't track that, you're not seeing how well the application is performing or if it's even able to transact over that path. Just think about it. If I was a legacy SD-WAN solution and I'm looking at my traditional measurements, loss, latency, jitter over a particular path, and everything is good, it's within the SLA of the application, but I send a SYN packet down that path and I get no SYN-ACK back. Right. So now, so the network is great, but the application can't perform. The user can't even establish a connection. Or worse, I can establish a connection, but now when I'm within the transaction, I'm seeing a bunch of transaction errors. Maybe there's something in the path that's preventing the communication. Maybe something happened in the internet routing table to reroute the traffic to a suboptimal path that you were unaware of. Again, all things that would impact particular applications and not necessarily the point A to point B network latency, loss, and jitter metrics.
It sounds like focusing in on the application over the packets gives us a lot more flexibility to build on as we look at the way that people are consuming software and programs in the future. Is this kind of where Palo Alto Networks is going with the Next-Gen SD-WAN solution, is to kind of turn this application focus into a platform to build on going forward?
No, absolutely, because it's not just about, first of all, making the right decisions for the applications as they're flowing through your network from a policy perspective, best performing path at that point in time to meet your needs. But it's also collecting the data about how the apps are performing and presenting that to the end users, right? And that's where autonomous comes into play. And we talk a little bit about our machine learning capabilities because we have the CloudGenix controller that has the entire network database, as well as all the application flows going over the WAN from the branch sites to their applications. So now we can do some interesting things because I know what the model is of the network. I know what all my connectivity is. I know all the apps flowing over my network. So now I can see if there's a problem happening in one particular area of my network for one particular application, or if this is a pervasive issue across my entire network, or maybe across particular carriers. And that's the type of things that we can do when you are a cloud delivered SD-WAN solution, and we can do ML at scale in the cloud with our cloud, next to our cloud controller.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned ML, machine learning, because that's something that has been really picking up steam in a lot of different areas of IT. Now that we have this visibility into a lot of the things that have been flying across the network, we realize that we have a lot of data that we have to sift through, and it's too much for one human or even a group of humans to take care of. But I also feel like there are a lot of companies out there that just take an ML or AI sticker and slap it on the side of the box and just wave their hands in the air and say it's magic and it just works. I was wondering if maybe you could tell us a little bit about the machine learning and artificial intelligence capabilities in Palo Alto Networks Next-Gen SD-WAN and kind of how it helps practitioners and operations teams with some of the challenges they might face.
Yeah, it's a great question, Tom. And part of our launch that we just did of Next-Gen SD-WAN was an introduction of our event correlation engine, which is just the beginning to scratch the surface of the types of correlations that we have already delivered to our customers and will continue to build upon in the future. A real world example, right? Say I am a global organization and I have multiple data, I'm a hub and spoke topology, and I have hundreds of remote branches connecting to a single data center site. And if you were in a traditional network monitoring tool environment and you had, say, one circuit go down at the data center, you'd likely would get hundreds, if not thousands, of alerts from SNMP traps, if you will, from your monitoring system saying you have a thousand VPNs down, just because that one single link went down or that one single circuit had an issue. The CloudGenix event correlation engine will isolate that problem and correlate all the events that has flowing into the system from all of the devices and say, hey, I know that all of these events are really the root of the event is this one particular device had a challenge, whether it was a connectivity problem, circuit issue, what have you. And now the IT admin has one thing to troubleshoot instead of 1,000. So that's just one example of things we can do.
Yeah, I can remember getting those alert storms on my phone when I used to have to carry a pager all the time. And I think my inbox just thanked you for that, because sifting through 5,000 extra alerts is never fun, especially when you know where the real problem is. And so it sounds like this intelligence, these capabilities that you've built into the platform are really going to simplify and streamline the things that real people need to worry about in the real world. I'm kind of curious, though, we're getting to the end of 2020 as we're recording this, and we have 2021 coming up where a lot of people are going to be making a lot of critical decisions about some of the new infrastructure pieces that they need to buy. Maybe they're looking to replace a lot of their existing equipment, and they need some direction on how best to do that. If people want to go somewhere to learn a little bit more about Palo Alto Networks Next-Gen SD-WAN solutions, where's the best place for them to do that?
They should go to paloaltonetworks.com/CloudGenixSD-WAN.
All right. And hopefully you'll find a lot of great information there that will answer the questions that you might have. If you want to see a little bit more of the content that we've created here on gestaltit.com on a variety of topics, including networking and SD-WAN, please make sure you head over to our website at gestaltit.com. I want to thank our guests from Palo Alto Networks for joining us today. This was very informative. We learned a lot, and we look forward to hearing more about the updates to the Next-Gen SD-WAN platform in the future. And for the folks here at Gestalt IT, we want to thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to speaking with you again very soon.